Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors here at Trillium. I got these 30-inch bolt cutters. Oh, man, it's pretty hard to move about. And I bought the bolt cutter to cut a lock off of my own bike. See, this guy that I knew very well, in fact, he lived with me. He didn't have a way of getting about town, so I let him use my bike with the proviso he took good care of it. I wasn't using it that much, and he needed to get about town. And then one day I was looking in the garage, and it wasn't there. And I mentioned it to this guy, and he said, oh, I left it at work. I locked it up back behind work. And I looked at him, you mean you left it at work overnight? He goes, yeah. And I said to him, no, don't do that. Bring the bike home if you're going to use it. And then a few weeks later, I noticed that he'd left the bike again at work. And I asked him where it was, and he told me that in fact, that's where it was. And he promised me that he'd bring it home. And that night, he didn't even come home, period. He didn't come home, period. And there was no bike. So the next day, I went down to Canadian Tire, and I bought a 30-inch bolt cutter and then went down to his work. Because I'm going down there to get my bike, and I don't want anything to get in my way. I'm going to cut the lock off if I have to. And when I went down there, the bolt cutter was in the car, and I was so tempted just to go around back and just cut off the lock and take the bike. But I went into work, and I said, I've come to get the bike. And he went back with me, and we took the lock off, and I took the bike and put it in the car and went home. You know, that guy was not playing for the common good between us. I mean, we had this chance to make a win-win outcome. He needed the bike. I didn't mind. I was happy to let him use it. There was a common good between us, and he wasn't playing for it. And you know, we've been in the news lately. There's been a lot of talk about Derek Jeter, who's one of the great baseball players of our generation. The last 20 years, he's been playing shortstop for the New York Yankees. And what made him a great player wasn't his baseball stats. It wasn't his hitting stats. It wasn't even his throwing stats. The two things that made him a great player was he was clutch. He was a clutch player. He came through in those critical moments. And the second thing that made him great was that he played for the common good of the team. As good a player as he was, his special influence on them, if you want to call it that, his greatest contribution was that he elevated his teammates to play out of the best part of themselves. One commentator said this: he was a superstar because of the team cohesion that he built and the way that he symbolized the team, the effect of one team player on team cohesion. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy, Jeter, is, in spite of the fact of being a top-notch athlete, is playing for the common good that existed between him and his teammates. And because of that one characteristic, he became a superstar, and he elevated his team to win a number of World Series championships. You know, superstar can often be a term used for specialness, to that sense of emphasis on one's unique or distinctive abilities. And we often will parlay those unique or distinctive abilities to gain fame, fortune, love, whatever it is we want. I had this silly hat last week. I put it on. It was a hat of specialness. We want to be special, so we put these special hats on to get special attention in life, and it distracts us from the truth of love in our lives. Derek Jeter is, as I say, a superstar athlete, not because of who he was, not because he played for himself or promoted his brand, but because he lifted out the best of his teammates. It got me thinking about specialness in my life and your life and the teams we play for. We've been looking at the 1 Corinthians passage in chapter 13 about love being patient and kind, not seeking itself, not putting itself forward. See, this conversation about love that Paul has with the Corinthian church comes out of a deeper struggle going on in the Corinthian community. People are promoting their specialness based on the spiritual gifts they've been given. I speak in tongues, therefore I deserve special treatment by everyone else. I speak in prophecy. No, I deserve special treatment, special adulation from the community. No, I heal people. I give generously. I do this. I have this spiritual gift. And what happens in the midst of people promoting their specialness is that the team cohesion's lost. See, when you start playing for yourself in life, when you principally play for yourself in life, the team cohesion that's so essential to finding meaning and purpose in life gets wrecked in the process. And Paul keeps reminding people, yeah, you have all these unique abilities and gifts, but there's a common source behind it. There's a common God, a common Lord, a common Spirit, a common purpose, and the manifestation of Spirit is given to all for the purpose of the common good that lives within communities. And I got thinking to myself about the importance of the common good that exists between people. You know, that guy who boarded my bike, he wasn't living out of the common good between us. He wasn't pursuing that as an important element of our relationship. He was playing for himself. You know, and he was playing for himself. So, you know, I'm going to play for myself. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to buy myself my bolt cutters because I'm going to play for myself and I'm going back and I'm taking that bike back. But let me ask you this, is that love? Does that have anything to do with love? Does playing for yourself really in the end have much to do about love at all? I don't think so. That's certainly not what Jesus calls us to. See, Jesus came into the world because he was playing for the common good, not in a sports league, but in the big league of life with all people playing for their common good. He was the kind of bridge between God and ourselves, playing for the common good so that we could be at peace with our Creator again. And he invites us who follow him to play for the common good, not just of a team or a community, a province, a country, a tribe, an ethnicity, whatever it might be. Jesus calls us to play for the common good of the world, of all people, in fact, of all living things, of life itself. We are to play for the common good of life. Wow, you know, I think that's such an amazing thing. You have this incredible opportunity to put aside your specialness day, put aside that silly little hat that we all wear, and instead embrace the crown of heaven this day, which calls us to play out our servanthood to the world. We can be servants of all people by bringing into life and existence the common good that lives between us. There's a common good between you and me right now, between yourself and your spouse or your children or your workmates or your community or for the world itself that wants to be unleashed. And when that happens, God's kingdom of love, peace, and joy finds its fulfillment. Even in the tough places, even in the hardest places, the common good can be found if we bring about God's purpose of love in our lives. And I pray for you. Put aside your need to be right. Put aside your need to play for yourself. Instead, embark on the path of playing for the common good in life, and you will experience that true peace that goes beyond all human understanding. That's the blessing I seek for you this day. That's the blessing that wants to move through you this day to the world. So go in that peace and do God's great work.